Hello BookTube, I'm Jonathan and welcome to Words in Time. Now in today's video, I'm going to be testing how accurately Goodreads ratings predict my opinions on books. Now, this is of course a small sample size and it's just for a bit of fun, but here's how we're going to be testing it. A few months ago, I recorded a TBR video with 10 books that I wanted to read, and after finishing them, I wanted to come back to them and see how my opinions compared to their Goodreads ratings. Now, I thought about comparing my rating to the Goodreads rating, but the Goodreads rating for each of these books is between around 4.0 and 4.2, so there wasn't a lot of room to work with. So instead, what I've decided to do is compare ranking to ranking. So here is those 10 books as ranked by their Goodreads ratings. We have Howling Dark, Use of Weapons, Recursion, A Memory Called Empire, Dragon's Egg, Rendezvous with Rama, Ubik, The Mote in God's Eye, Empire of Silence, and Oryx and Crake. Now, here is the scoring system. I'm going to be revealing my ranking for each of those books, and if Goodreads correctly predicts the same place, has the exact same place as me, I'm going to give Goodreads 3 points. If it's off by 1 place, I'm going to give it 2 points, and if it's off by 2 places, I'm going to give it 1 point. If it's off by 3 or more places, Goodreads gets 0 points. So, the maximum amount of points that Goodreads can score is 30, but it'd be very difficult for them to predict every single book in its exact right place, and when one is in the wrong place, a second is also out of place, so it loses points very quickly. In fact, a completely randomized list on average would score 8.2 points out of 30. So, the bar that I'm setting for Goodreads is 10 points. If Goodreads scores 10 points or above, I would say there's at least some correlation between Goodreads ratings and my opinions, or at least they're worth checking out for a bit of fun anyway. So let's reveal my ranking. So Howling Dark is the number 1 book on Goodreads ranking list. Where does Howling Dark rank for me? Number 1! We're off to a hot start. We're off to a hot start for Goodreads. We're already at 3 points. I haven't actually tallied the results yet, so I know my ranking and I have a rough idea, but I actually don't know where the points are going to end up. Howling Dark, Christopher Ruocchio, absolutely loved it. Sun Eater series, one of my favorite things that I discovered in 2021. It's at number 1, so check that one out. Okay, Goodreads predicted number 2 to be Use of Weapons. Use of Weapons for me was number 10. No points for Goodreads on that one. Now, I don't want to offend anyone. I don't want to, no culture series haters here. I do somewhat like the book. I would say there's actually moments in that book that are quite brilliant. But there were stretches where I was just a bit confused or it kind of lost my interest. I don't hate or even particularly dislike any of the books on the list. Use of Weapons was just the one that I liked least. So Use of Weapons, number 10. After 2 books, we're at 3 points for Goodreads. All right, number 3 for Goodreads was Recursion. Recursion for me was number 4. So it gets 2 more points. Another good prediction from Goodreads there. It liked it a lot. I did too. It made my top sci-fi reads of the year list. Another hit from Blake Crouch. Loved Dark Matter. Loved Recursion. So it deserved to be up there. So Goodreads doing pretty well with 5 points so far. All right, next on Goodreads ranking, we have at number 4, A Memory Called Empire. A Memory Called Empire for me was number 5. So pretty close again. 2 more points. 2 more points for Goodreads. We're at 7. I should be able to keep track of the numbers, but if not, if I lose track of it, I'll put a tally on the screen somewhere. Review coming out for A Memory Called Empire very soon. Interesting book. Wasn't quite what I expected, but I think what it tried to do, it executed really well. It was really well written, and I'm looking forward to the sequel, A Desolation Called Peace. All right, at number 5 on the list, I just reviewed this recently for Goodreads, Dragon's Egg. Dragon's Egg for me was number 9. I like Dragon's Egg, but it just perhaps wasn't for me. There was a bit too much focus on some technical things that weren't as interesting as some thematic ideas, characters, plot development that I wanted from it. But yeah, still a worthy read, but it was my 9th favorite for me. So no more points for Goodreads, still at 7. Yeah, we're getting close to that 10 already, but we'll see. It's not always that easy to pick up points once things start getting out of order. All right, next at number 6 on Goodreads ranking, we have Rendezvous with Rama by Arthur C. Clarke. Rendezvous with Rama for me was number 6. 3 more points. Goodreads already at 10. All right, doing pretty well. Let's see how far you can run it up. Rendezvous with Rama. I did enjoy that book. Arthur C. Clarke, one of my favorite writers. I do prefer Childhood's End and 2001: A Space Odyssey, but I very much enjoyed Rendezvous with Rama too, and I'm excited for the Denis Villeneuve film. I'm not sure when it'll be made, probably 2023, 2024, after he's done with the Dune films. But yes, the visuals in that one are going to be nuts. All right, number 7 on the Goodreads prediction ranking was Ubik by Philip K. Dick. Well, Ubik for me was number 3. I really liked Ubik. I didn't know what to expect going into it. I didn't actually love The Man in the High Castle, the only book that I'd read by Philip K. Dick before Ubik, but the second half of this book especially absolutely blew me away. One of my favorite reads of the year. One of the most unique books that I've ever read. Highly, highly recommend it. All the way up there at number 3, but no points for Goodreads. So if I haven't lost track of the numbers, we're still at 10 points for Goodreads. Let's see if we can crack that. Okay, coming in at number 8 for Goodreads was The Mote in God's Eye by Jerry Pournelle and Larry Niven, co-written. Well, The Mote in God's Eye for me was number 7. Number 7. I quite liked it. 2 points for Goodreads, so Goodreads is doing pretty well. There were definitely some strong aspects of that book. I really enjoyed learning about the Moties. Some of the First Contact stuff was great, but I didn't love the characters, and I feel like it lost a little bit of steam towards the end, but I liked it. A good read, classic sci-fi for a reason. My 7th favorite out of these, and 2 more points. We're at 12 points for Goodreads. We've beaten 10. Let's see by how much. All right, number 9 on the Goodreads ranking is Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio, the first book in the Sun Eater series. Well, Empire of Silence for me was number 2. Number 2, absolutely loving the Sun Eater. Goodreads, you are way off on that one. You get no points. I should give negative points if I could, because Empire of Silence is absolutely awesome. I feel like I hear nearly all good things about Sun Eater, but I feel like some people think that the first book is good, and then the next, books 2 and 3 are great. I think they're all great, but yes, Empire of Silence, there you go. No points for Goodreads, down there in 9th. I loved it. 2nd place for me. And lastly, here we have Oryx and Crake in 10th on the Goodreads ranking. Just keeping track of the points. 12 points, I believe, for Goodreads. Oryx and Crake in 10th. Oryx and Crake for me was, I think there's only one place left on the board, number 8. 8, so it gets 1 point. 1 point for Goodreads there. So 13 points in total based on Oryx and Crake there. I quite liked it. I thought it was well written. There's some really interesting ideas, but there were some things I didn't connect to. It didn't quite build to what I wanted it to, but yeah, interesting book if you're into that genre and that type of writing by Margaret Atwood. So there you go, Goodreads. You scored 13 out of 30. I would say you beat the bar that I set for you. So I'd make an argument that if a book is in the genre that I like, the premise sounds interesting to me, and it has a pretty good rating, which would, at least out of these, would be around like 4.1 or above, then yeah, there's probably a pretty good chance that I would like it. Although, as you can see, these things vary a lot. It's very subjective. Out of 30 points, it did only get 13, so Goodreads ratings, obviously not objective. They're just a bit of fun, a bit of guidance for what you may or may not like based on your tastes. So there you go. Get down in the comments. Maybe try something similar yourself. Let me know what you score, how Goodreads does for you, whether in general you think there's any correlation between Goodreads ratings and your opinions. So there you go, guys. A bit of a different video, something that was a bit fun. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe, especially if you're into sci-fi, because as always, there's more sci-fi content coming soon.